Penny, for God's...
Shh, darling. Trust me.
God's sake.
It's for the best.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most frightening scenes from Stephen King films.
Can he eat his way in here? Can he?
No.
Number 20. Here's Johnny, The Shining.
Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in.
There are certain iconic visuals in movie history, and Jack's deranged face peering through the broken door is certainly one of them. This comes at the climax of the film, when Jack Torrance has descended fully into madness brought on by isolation, addiction, and lots of ghosts. He batters down the bathroom door with an axe while his poor wife cowers inside, and when he peers through the opening, he unleashes one of the best quotes in all of cinema.
Here's Johnny!
It is a frightening sequence, not just on a visceral level, but an emotional one. Families are meant to protect each other, yet here the otherwise loving husband and father wants nothing more than their blood. Number 19, the Paul Bunyan statue, It, Chapter 2. With a budget of $80 million, It Chapter 2 was allowed to go big, both figuratively and literally. In one of the movie's flashback sequences, young Richie Tozier takes a seat on a bench. Our guards are immediately lowered thanks to the bright daylight and the wide-open public space. Scary things don't happen with that combination, right? Very, very wrong. Richie notices that the giant Paul Bunyan statue is curiously missing, and when he turns, he is greeted by the sentient decoration screaming right in his face. It is a powerful jump scare, and it's followed by one of the film's most ambitious frights. That mouth is the thing of nightmares.
It's not real, 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 it's not real.
Number 18, Mcci vs. Christine. Christine.
Hey, Cunningham! Is that you, Cunningham?
The great thing about Stephen King is that he can make even the goofiest ideas work, like that of a possessed car. King is actually not a fan of this film, but it got good reviews and is now considered a cult classic, and it's largely thanks to fun sequences like this. Mcci sees the red Plymouth Fury at the end of an alley, and it proceeds to stalk him like a hungry predator. Then it pounces and the chase is on. It's a memorable sequence that contains great tension, a fun score, and some imaginative photography. And that is to say nothing of the amazing ending, in which Christine squeezes herself through a small opening to finally get her prey. Number 17, Hatching Spiders, The Mist.
I won't be gone long. Just next door.
Spiders are a big nope. Things erupting out of human bodies are also a big nope. Combine the two and you have a scene that lives in infamy. David and a small group leave the safety of the supermarket and go next door to the pharmacy, hoping to acquire some much-needed medical supplies. Well, they get a lot more than they bargained for. Inside the pharmacy are numerous humans trapped in giant spider webs. That alone is scary enough. But things take an even darker turn when one of the victims starts to shake and squirm. The visuals speak for themselves, and let's just say there are much better ways to go than this.
God, Uncle Phil! Uncle Phil!
Number 16, Feeding Snakebite Andy, Dr. Sleep.
And she tastes like flowers.
A surprisingly worthy sequel to The Shining, Dr. Sleep follows a now-grown Danny Torrance as he fights a cult known as the True Knot. This is a group of vampires who feed on a psychic essence known as steam, which is released when someone with The Shining is murdered. In the movie's most uncomfortable sequence, we see Rose the Hat feed the steam to Snakebite Andy in some kind of bizarre and somewhat sensual orientation. The very idea of feeding someone a human soul is highly disturbing, and Rebecca Ferguson sells it with enjoyable authority. Number 15, Pennywise in the Projector, It.
Turn it off! Turn it off! Yeah, turn it off! Turn it off!
The 2017 adaptation of King's beloved masterpiece borrowed the general concept of the story, but crafted its own unique scares involving Pennywise. One of the better ideas was the projector scene, which is a great combination of idea and execution. The kids look at a map of Derry's sewer system, but the projector soon takes on a life of its own and cycles through a number of increasingly creepy photos. Pennywise appears in place of a red-haired woman, and he soon bursts through the screen to chase the kids around the garage. It is an effective jump scare, brought about through great visual effects, a fun idea, and some fantastic lighting. Each flash to black brought us one step closer to a heart attack. Number 14, Gages' Return, Pet Sematary.
Sometimes that is better. You see, Lewis, what I'm getting at. You understand.
Judd Crandall tells us that sometimes dead is better. Now we know what he means. The titular Pet Sematary is a magical place in which dead beings are brought back to life as zombie-like creatures. In one of the most haunting scenes in the Stephen King canon, Gage is run over by a truck, prompting his father Lewis to bury him in the cemetery. Gage returns as a murderous figure, killing both Judd and his mother Rachel. Everything about this is troubling. The very idea of a zombie toddler is scary enough, but King takes it one step further by having him wield a scalpel and commit matricide. King claims that Pet Sematary is his scariest novel, and yeah, we can see why.
Oh, Gage. Gage.
I brought you something, Mommy.
Number 13, Removing the Handcuffs, Gerald's Game.
You look amazing.
Thanks. Director Mike Flanagan took a shot at Gerald's Game, a little-known Stephen King novel published in 1992. Carla Gugino stars as Jessie Burlingame, who is left handcuffed to a bed when her husband dies of a heart attack. The movie is part survival thriller, part psychological horror, and it's mixed with one of the gnarliest things we've ever seen in a King movie. Finally, at her wit's end, Jessie escapes from the handcuffs with the help of some sharp glass and lots of, shall we say, peeling. It is absolutely disgusting, brutal in its realism and use of convincing practical effects. The whole thing makes us shudder like you wouldn't believe.
I'm writing this letter with my right hand, nestled snug in its frictionless burn glove. 3 skin grafts later, it still doesn't work quite right.
Number 12, Death by Cockroaches, Creepshow.
I can't talk to you now, George. I'm going to clear up this damn cockroach problem once and for all.
What some people may not know is that Stephen King wrote the screenplay of Creepshow, and it served as his professional screenwriting debut. He teamed up with the legendary George A. Romero for an anthology of stories that harken back to classic horror comics of the 1950s. One segment is called They're Creeping Up on You, and it follows everyone's favorite creepy crawly, the cockroach. Pratt tries to escape the multiplying critters in a sealed panic room, but he finds, to his horror and ours, that they are already inside. It's terrifically effective, especially if you have an aversion to bugs. Which, you know, who doesn't?
I hope you die. I hope you die.
Number 11, Tea with Mrs. Kersch, It, Chapter 2.
But you know what they say about Derry. No one who dies here ever really dies.
As most adults do when they visit their old stomping grounds, Beverly visits her childhood home and finds a sweet old lady named Mrs. Kersch living inside. Well, not really. Surprise, surprise, this is not actually Mrs. Kersch, but some kind of witch-like monster. Joan Gregson is utterly spectacular in the role, her odd mannerisms and distant predatory eyes informing us that something is terribly wrong in the old Marsh house. Director Andy Muschietti then gets creative with the scene, using deep shadow to hide Kersch in a doorway and distorting her voice before hitting us with a fun jump scare. That is one which we do not want to mess with.
Are you still his little girl, Beverly?
Are you?
Number 10, Dragged by Tentacles, The Mist.
Hey, I want to go. It was my idea.
Being a protagonist in Stephen King's horror stories is difficult enough, but let's take a moment to feel for the secondary characters, who really have it rough. As an unnatural mist rolls over a small town, grocery store bag boy Norm rises to the challenge, bravely volunteering to venture outside and unblock a generator exhaust pipe.
Norm! What the f?
Needless to say, he doesn't get very far. What makes the scene so agonizing is how long it takes for Norm to be dragged into the mist, kicking and screaming to the bitter end. Number 9. Execution Gone Wrong, The Green Mile.
Roll on one.
The Green Mile is not a horror movie, but it still has its fair share of chilling moments, thanks in large part to sadistic prison officer Percy Wetmore. When Percy sabotages inmate Edouard Delacroix's execution, we all know what's about to happen when the switch is thrown, but that doesn't make it any easier.
Roll on two.
For over 2.5 minutes, the helpless Delacroix convulses as electric current shoots through him. As the people watching swarm the exit, only to find the doors chained shut, it's hard not to feel trapped with them, forced to watch as Delacroix's head explodes in blue flame.
Everybody stay calm! Please, stay calm!
Number 8. The Diner Slaughter, Children of the Corn. For the locals at the diner in sleepy farming town Gatlin, Nebraska, it seems like a normal day. But something wicked this way comes. There's something particularly disturbing about creepy children. And Isaac Kroner, the 12-year-old who convinces the children of Gatlin to murder their parents as human sacrifices to a demon in the cornfields, is pretty damn creepy. As Job, one of the few good kids in the town, looks on, the adults who aren't poisoned first are cut to pieces by knives, farm tools, and, of course, a meat slicer.
That's when I saw Malachi and the others. I guess their meeting with Isaac was over.
Number 7. The Vampire in the Window, Salem's Lot. According to Stephen King's novels, Maine is a lot more than the Pine Tree State. It's also the playground of vampires, demons, and invading aliens. When Ralph Glick is kidnapped and turned into a vampire in Salem's Lot, he returns home like a good kid to feast on his brother Danny. As Ralph floats outside the window in billowing fog, an entranced Danny is glad to see him again and opens the window to let his little brother in, not realizing he's about to join the ranks of the undead. Number 6. Helpful Neighbor, 1408.
But where is the bone-chilling terror? Show me the rivers of blood.
Professional skeptic Mike Enslin believes everything has a logical explanation. But when he's trapped in a haunted hotel room, he realizes he's in over his head.
You! Sir! Sir, help!
Luckily, a man in the window opposite sees him gesturing for help. But as the stranger mirrors his movements, Enslin realizes that the other man is himself.
Help!
He's completely trapped, alone in a world he can't understand, at the mercy of the same supernatural forces he spent his lifetime debunking. And what's worse, there's someone right behind him. Number 5. Donna Gets Bitten, Cujo.
Don't worry about it, ma'am. Cujo won't hurt him.
Cujo is a friendly Saint Bernard, until the bite of a rabid bat turns him into a raging monster. Trapped in her car in the baking hot sun with her frightened son Tad, Donna steps out to see if it's safe to leave. Well, we'll go ahead and ruin the surprise right now. It's not. Cujo mauls Donna's arm, then launches himself into the car on top of her as her son screams in terror. Managing to beat the animal back, Donna is left wounded and, much like the audience, trembling in her seat. Number 4. Carrie's Revenge, Carrie. It might be because we empathize with Carrie so much that she also terrifies us. We've seen the trauma she's been through and felt the anger building inside her. Her humiliation at prom is the last straw. As the bullied and blood-soaked Carrie unleashes her vengeance on the school, students and staff flee for the doors. But there's no escape from Carrie's frenzied, telekinetic rage. Seeing Carrie reveal her supernatural powers to the world is a hair-raising, skin-tingling kind of moment. And the gut-wrenching moment sympathy turns into horror makes this scene as memorable as it is disturbing. Number 3. Come Play With Us, Danny, The Shining.
Hello, Danny.
There's something off about the isolated Overlook Hotel. Maybe it's all the ghosts in the gold room, or Danny's vision of blood pouring from the elevator. But the Grady sisters probably also have something to do with it. As Danny rides his bike through the empty corridors, he suddenly encounters 2 girls standing eerily still. A vision reveals the awful truth. The girls are dead, hacked to death with an axe by their own father.
Come and play with us, Danny.
The reassurances of Danny's imaginary friend Tony don't really make the scene any less creepy.
Remember what Mr. Halloran said. It's just like pictures in a book, Danny.
Number 2. The Hobbling Misery.
I'm your #1 fan.
In many of these moments, it's the sense of utter helplessness that's really unnerving. In Misery, romance novelist Paul Sheldon becomes the prisoner of obsessed fan Annie Wilkes. There's something about the nurse's calm, professional tone as she prepares to break his ankles that's especially chilling.
Paul, do you know about the early days at the Kimberley diamond mines? Do you know what they did to the native workers who stole diamonds?
Strapped to the bed, he can only strain futilely as the block is laid, and Annie raises the sledgehammer. The scene originally called for Paul's whole foot to be chopped off, but the crunch of those broken ankles might be even worse.
God, I love you.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Georgie Meets Pennywise, It.
What a nice boat. Do you want it back?
There are plenty of scares in both the original miniseries and the movie adaptation of It. Georgie's apparent return from the dead was the stuff of nightmares, and that headless body walking down the stairs is certainly enough to chill the blood. But there's something horribly real about Georgie's first encounter with stranger danger as he walks the streets alone. When he peers into a drain after his paper boat, Georgie meets the not-so-friendly neighborhood clown, who strikes up a playful conversation, then bites the boy's arm off.
Take it, Georgie.
Are there any other scenes that scared you? Let us know in the comments below.
Tony, I'm scared.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.